The accident between the truck and the car happened at the intersection. The collision between the truck and the car occurred at the crossroads. Many companies are sponsoring this bazaar. Numerous corporations are funding this marketplace. Wetlands are a treasure trove of ecosystems where various creatures live. Wetlands serve as a rich repository of diverse ecosystems where numerous species thrive. Her blonde hair shimmered under the streetlight. Her golden locks glistened beneath the street lamp. Through technological development, robots gained intelligence. By means of technological advancement, robots acquired intelligence. I was motivated by his passionate speech. I was inspired by his fervent oration. He was engrossed in watching TV dramas. He was absorbed in viewing television dramas. She was late for the appointment due to severe traffic congestion. She was delayed for the meeting owing to intense traffic congestion. He is a comrade from a company I've known for a long time. He is a colleague from a firm I have been familiar with for an extended period. The bus requires maintenance every day for safety. The bus necessitates daily upkeep to ensure safety. The adhesive adheres well to any object. The adhesive bonds effectively with any item. Susan is a sleepyhead and is always late for school. Susan is a chronic latecomer and often arrives late for school. The illness he caught has no connection with food. The illness he contracted is unrelated to food. The company is affiliated with a local university. The corporation is associated with a regional university. My father paid for my second semester tuition. My father covered the cost of my second semester tuition. He was a pessimist who thought negatively about everything. He was a pessimist who viewed everything in a negative light. The emergence of smartphones has redefined the meaning of a phone. The advent of smartphones has revolutionized the concept of a phone. The child was loved for being smart and accomplished. The child was adored for being intelligent and accomplished. Her constant questioning was an allusion to the opposition. Her incessant inquiries were a subtle reference to the opposition. Korea is in a festival mood due to the emergence of a global singer. Korea is in a celebratory mood due to the rise of a global singer. The South Korean president's mandate is guaranteed for 5 years. The mandate of the South Korean president is assured for a period of 5 years. Your odd behavior always amazes me. Your peculiar conduct never fails to astonish me. Drivers must renew their driver's license every 10 years. Drivers are required to renew their driver's license once every decade. His brutal crime incited the wrath of the people. His savage crime provoked the fury of the public. The merchant vend instant hamburgers at the street stall. The vendor sells ready-made hamburgers at the street stall. Warm spring passed swiftly, and the hot summer arrived. The warm spring season passed swiftly, and the scorching summer arrived. Nuclear weapons are one of the most deadly weapons to humanity. Nuclear arms are among the most lethal weapons to humankind. Joro has been my only adversary since kindergarten. Joro has been my sole rival since my kindergarten years. Mom always tampered with me when I ate. My mother constantly meddled with me while I ate. She was conservative and ignored new trends. She was traditional and disregarded emerging trends. The clerk ushered customers to their seats quickly. The attendant swiftly directed the customers to their seats. The talent show has now become the school's annual event. The talent show has now become an annual event for the school. The student continued a lasting relationship with the teacher. The student maintained a lasting rapport with the instructor. Polar bears are at risk of extinction due to global warming. Polar bears face the threat of extinction due to climate change. The singer's live performance enlivened the party. The singer's live performance energized the gathering. The company requested the repeal of restraint from the government. The corporation petitioned for the removal of restrictions by the government. The two people are in an intimately close relationship within the company. The two individuals share a profoundly close bond within the company. He bid $20,000 for a Goryo Celadon at the auction. He placed a bid of $20,000 for a Goryo Celadon at the auction. Picasso was a celebrated artist of Cubism. Picasso was a renowned figure in the Cubist movement. All the newspapers exaggerated the incident. All the newspapers inflated the details of the incident. He exerted his position as a member of parliament wrongly. He misused his position as a member of parliament. Use a mop soaked in water to clean the kitchen. Utilize a mop drenched in water to clean the kitchen. Japan's whaling was controversial worldwide. Japan's whaling practices sparked global controversy. Seoul has diversified the design of its buildings. Seoul has expanded the variety of its building designs. My company coworker is a hardworking person. My colleague at the company is a diligent worker. If you're living a sedentary lifestyle, you should walk for your health. If you are leading a sedentary lifestyle, it is advisable to walk for your health. After eating rice cake, he suffered acute pain in his stomach. After consuming rice cakes, he experienced intense pain in his stomach. You should also give consideration to other people's opinions. You should also take into account the opinions of others. The armor of the Black Knight protects him from enemies. The Black Knight's armor shields him from adversaries. The elixir the king seeks is a herb for eternal life. The potion the king searches for is an herb believed to grant eternal life. He easily catches colds due to his weak immune system. He is prone to catching colds easily because of his fragile immune system. He is an acquaintance I've known since I was young. He is an acquaintance I have known since my childhood. The police officer made a doubtful expression after the criminal's confession. The police officer exhibited a skeptical expression following the criminal's confession. I envisioned a future where self-driving cars roam the streets. I imagined a future in which autonomous vehicles navigate the streets. The plateau of Tibet is the highest place in the world. The Tibetan Plateau is the highest point on Earth. The increase in investment is an indication that the economy is recovering. The rise in investment signals that the economy is on the mend. They built rental housing for homeless people. They constructed rental housing for individuals without homes. The United States dropped atomic bombs on Japan. The United States unleashed atomic bombs upon Japan. The company reflected the interaction with customers in their products. The company incorporated customer interaction into their products. The nurse rolled up her sleeve to give the patient an injection. The nurse lifted her sleeve to administer an injection to the patient. He spoke with poise and confidence. He spoke with composure and assurance. Messi has inherent abilities as a soccer player. Messi possesses intrinsic abilities as a soccer player. The nail protruded from the wall, so it was hammered in. The nail extended from the wall, so it was driven in. People feel fulfillment when they finish what they wanted. People experience a sense of fulfillment when they complete their desires. The police asked to show an identification. The police requested to present identification. An additional person was needed to finish the work at the company. An extra person was required to complete the task at the company. You are great. Mightiness. You are amazing. Greatness. I always reckon that I will succeed someday. I always believe that I will succeed at some point. She conducted the funeral according to Christian ritual. She organized the funeral following Christian customs. The mother cat purred when she saw the person. The mother cat meowed when she saw the individual. The earthquake caused high-rise buildings to crumble. The earthquake caused skyscrapers to collapse. She shredded lettuce to make a salad. She tore the lettuce into pieces to prepare a salad. Among first graders, many children are literate. Many children among the first graders are able to read and write. The shape of the earth is not a perfect sphere. The shape of the earth is not a flawless sphere. The smoke from the chimney contaminated the air. The smoke from the chimney polluted the air. Many lawmakers dealt with laws in the parliament. Numerous lawmakers addressed laws in the parliament. He wrote the wrong answer due to a computation error. He wrote the incorrect answer due to a calculation mistake. She got married unexpectedly last week. She married unexpectedly last week. I painted a picture inspired by Picasso. I painted a picture inspired by Picasso's works. Recently, dresses have become a fad among women. Recently, dresses have become a trend among women. Additional fiscal supply is needed to stabilize housing prices. Extra fiscal resources are required to stabilize the housing market. My parents are very indulgent with us. My parents are exceptionally lenient with us. Eating food with hands is barbaric. Consuming food with one's hands is considered barbaric. The sports car quickly outpaced the truck. The sports car swiftly outdistanced the truck. The loud TV sound hampered my studying. The loud television noise obstructed my studying. The medium studies the spiritual world. The medium investigates the spiritual realm. My jeans completely faded after washing. My jeans completely lost their color after washing. She was a vegetarian for 7 years and only ate vegetables. She followed a vegetarian diet for 7 years, consuming only vegetables. Deregulation is essential for the business environment. Deregulation is crucial for the business climate. He was a particularly notable player among the soccer players. He was a notably distinguished player among the soccer players. In fact, the world's nuclear stockpile is beyond imagination. In reality, the global nuclear arsenal exceeds imagination. The entire country became impoverished due to the long war. The entire nation became destitute due to the prolonged war. The archaeologist excavated human bones from the tomb. The archaeologist unearthed human remains from the tomb. The National Tax Service conducted a corporate accounting investigation. The National Tax Service carried out a corporate accounting audit. The doctor has liability for the patient's death. The doctor is liable for the patient's death. The baby is suffering from a congenital mental retardation. The baby is experiencing congenital intellectual disability. Spitting on the street is filthy. Spitting on the street is unsanitary. A large banner was hung on the facade of our building. A large banner was displayed on the facade of our building. The government official downplayed the severity of the economic recession. The government official minimized the gravity of the economic downturn. The seawater obliterated the sandcastle on the beach. The seawater destroyed the sandcastle on the shore. He applied saliva to the mosquito bite. He applied his saliva to the insect bite to alleviate the irritation. I visited a poultry farm that raises chickens in large quantities. I visited a commercial poultry farm that breeds chickens on a large scale. The king officially designated his successor. The monarch formally appointed his successor to continue his reign. I used worms as bait when fishing for goldfish. I employed worms as bait during my pursuit of goldfish. The airplane quickly moved on the runway for takeoff. The aircraft accelerated swiftly along the runway, preparing for takeoff. He already failed at the first phase of the project. He had already faltered in the preliminary phase of the project. She ran with her shoelaces undone. She sprinted with her laces untied. Thunder rumbled in the sky as if it was about to rain. The sky rumbled with thunder, as though a storm was imminent. The emperor announced a new decree regarding taxes. The sovereign proclaimed a new edict concerning taxation. Helping suffering people is a worthwhile thing to do. Assisting those in distress is a noble and commendable endeavor. The digestive system includes the mouth, stomach, and intestines. The digestive system encompasses the mouth, stomach, and intestines. She received a performance award as the best performer. She was honored with a performance accolade as the top performer. He is the most influential person in the mayoral election. He is the preeminent figure in the mayoral race. My attorney is handling the real estate lawsuit. My legal counsel is overseeing the real estate litigation. He studied English hard and did infinitely well. He devoted himself to studying English and excelled beyond measure. The bed was so large that it seemed to occupy the entire room. The bed was so immense that it appeared to dominate the entire space. Josh suffers from pollen allergies every spring. Josh endures seasonal pollen allergies each spring. The temple in the mountains was really serene and peaceful. The mountain temple exuded tranquility and peace. He paced nervously while waiting for the interview. He walked restlessly, filled with anxiety, as he awaited the interview. Violence includes both physical and verbal violence. Violence encompasses both physical and verbal abuse. The eyes and ears are important sensory organs. The eyes and ears are essential sensory organs for perceiving the world. Cigarettes and alcohol are very addictive and should be used cautiously. Cigarettes and alcohol are highly addictive substances and should be consumed with great care. There was a great divergence of opinions among the members. There was a significant discrepancy in viewpoints among the members. Korea had a negotiation with the U.S. on agricultural products. Korea engaged in discussions with the United States regarding agricultural commodities. The hunter set up a decoy to hunt the wild boar. The hunter positioned a decoy to lure the wild boar. I wiped my hands with a towel moistened with water. I wiped my hands with a towel dampened with water. A vengeful person committed random acts of violence on the street. A vengeful individual perpetrated arbitrary acts of violence on the street. I have incurred a great burden with this investment. I have taken on a significant burden with this investment. The parents were happy that their son had received an elevation to manager. The parents were delighted that their son had been promoted to manager. Samsung fully reimbursed the cost of the faulty refrigerator. Samsung completely reimbursed the expense of the defective refrigerator. He is a gourmet who searches for delicious food. He is a connoisseur who seeks out exquisite cuisine. I want to enhance my English skills this semester. I aim to refine my English proficiency this semester. The world is experiencing an era of limitless competition. The world is undergoing an era marked by boundless competition. To stop the transmission of avian influenza, they cull the infected birds. To halt the spread of avian influenza, they cull the infected birds. The best way to solve fatigue is to get a good sleep. The most effective way to alleviate fatigue is to get a restful sleep. I received a latest model smartphone as a graduation gift. I received the latest model smartphone as a graduation present. Patriotism is often seen in war movies. Patriotism is frequently depicted in war films. We spent the whole day on the indoors because of the rain. We spent the entire day indoors due to the rain. My grandfather passed down his property to my father. My grandfather bequeathed his estate to my father. Jeju Island is said to have been formed by an undersea volcanic eruption. It is said that Jeju Island was formed by an underwater volcanic eruption. Santa Claus is a genial and lively character. Santa Claus is a warm-hearted and vivacious figure. The capillaries in my eyes burst, making my eyes look bloodshot. The capillaries in my eyes ruptured, causing my eyes to appear bloodshot. Edison's invention of the light bulb changed our daily lives. Edison's creation of the light bulb revolutionized our daily existence. He studied invariably hard and succeeded. He studied diligently and consistently, ultimately succeeding. The person in charge requested the presence of everyone at the meeting. The person responsible requested that everyone attend the meeting. The sequence of discord between the two people escalated into a fight. The series of disagreements between the two individuals escalated into a confrontation. The appraisers evaluated the fake item as worthless. The appraisers assessed the counterfeit item as valueless. The country completely perished after losing the war. The nation was utterly destroyed after losing the war. I sent a birthday telegram to my friend. I sent my friend a birthday telegram. You need permission for the school trip. You need approval for the school excursion. I felt the vibration of my phone in my pocket. I felt the buzz of my phone in my pocket. The increasing number of stray cats became a troublesome issue. The growing population of stray cats became a vexing problem. I gave my friend a clear, accurate explanation of the problem solving. I provided my friend with a clear and precise explanation of how to solve the problem. The company needed a more spacious office. The company required a larger office space. The startups that began with ideas are thriving. The startups that originated from innovative ideas are flourishing. The same situation is reported with different perspectives by each journalist. The identical situation is reported from varying viewpoints by each journalist. The detective pondered how to unravel the case. The detective contemplated how to solve the mystery of the case. The computer notifies you when there is a shortfall while saving. The computer alerts you when there is a deficiency during saving. The tennis player couldn't dodge the incoming ball. The tennis player was unable to evade the incoming ball. The police were very dubious about my alibi. The police were highly skeptical of my alibi. My idea crystallized into a business. My idea solidified into a viable business. The police pursued the criminal until they caught him. The police chased the criminal relentlessly until they apprehended him. A bloodshed occurred due to the fight between the two tribes. A massacre occurred due to the conflict between the two tribes. The reason he was late was very convincing. The reason for his lateness was highly persuasive. The atmosphere was ruined because of her fickle behavior. The atmosphere was soured due to her capricious behavior. Korea won the World Cup in 2 successive tournaments. Korea triumphed in 2 consecutive World Cups. Switzerland is a neutral country that does not belong to either side. Switzerland is a neutral state that remains unaffiliated with either side. She was astonished when she heard the news of her friend's death. She was shocked when she heard the news of her friend's passing. Einstein's theories opened a new epoch in physics. Einstein's theories ushered in a new era in the field of physics. His being a priest is just a mere hypocrisy. His position as a priest is nothing more than a facade of hypocrisy. I felt discomfort because of the narrow seat on the plane. I experienced discomfort due to the cramped seat on the airplane. I couldn't pinpoint where it hurt. I couldn't identify the exact location of the pain. The court granted amnesty to the model prisoner. The court granted clemency to the exemplary prisoner. After the agreement, I recanted suing my friend. After the agreement, I withdrew my lawsuit against my friend. The government widely publicized the exploits of the independence activists. The government extensively publicized the feats of the independence activists. After seeing the ghost, she had a pallid complexion. After seeing the ghost, she appeared pale and faint. I minimized the damage from the typhoon with thorough preparation. I mitigated the damage from the typhoon through careful preparation. My friend sent a subscription fee to the newspaper company. My friend sent the subscription fee to the newspaper publisher. His military stories were full of exaggeration. His military tales were filled with embellishment. The entire village was buried in the ground by a landslide. The entire village was engulfed by the landslide. An emergency situation occurred, so I called 119 for help. An emergency arose, so I dialed 119 for assistance. An ultrasound can be used to examine a pregnant woman's baby. An ultrasound is utilized to examine the fetus of a pregnant woman. She watched an interesting LG cell phone commercial. She viewed a captivating LG mobile phone advertisement. A tram was installed to improve traffic convenience in the new city. A tram system was implemented to enhance traffic efficiency in the new city. His sculpture fused well with the atmosphere of the park. His sculpture blended harmoniously with the ambiance of the park. The hospital sequestered the infectious patients completely. The hospital isolated the infectious patients entirely. One of the current popular jobs is an entertainer. One of the most popular professions today is that of an entertainer. Our baseball team had an outright victory against the opponent. Our baseball team achieved a decisive victory over the opponent. This device measures temperature and humidity accurately. This instrument accurately measures both temperature and humidity. The police set up a motorist checkpoint for drunk driving. The police established a checkpoint for motorists to combat drunk driving. The composition of the beverage is mostly water. The composition of the drink is primarily water. He isolated himself, cutting off social intercourse. He withdrew from society, severing all social interactions. Calling someone retarded will lead to a fight. Insulting someone as retarded will provoke a confrontation. He always confounded his twin brother and younger brother. He constantly confused his twin brother with his younger brother. I made a very vacuous mistake in my math exam. I made a truly superficial mistake in my math exam. It turned out he was a treacherous scammer. It was revealed that he was a deceitful swindler. The student was very attentive during class. The student was highly focused during class. You must undergo an exam for promotion. You must take an examination for promotion. Many spectators came to watch the soccer game. A large number of spectators gathered to watch the football match. The diminutive hands of babies are really cute. The tiny hands of babies are undeniably adorable. The clerics gathered to urge religious reconciliation. The clerics convened to advocate for religious reconciliation. Counterfeit money has no monetary value. Counterfeit currency holds no financial worth. The rebels planned to subvert the government. The insurgents plotted to overthrow the government. Children originally grow up emulating their parents. Children naturally develop by imitating their parents. The typhoon is expected to move inland into China in the afternoon. The typhoon is forecasted to move inland towards China in the afternoon. He talks a lot because he's an extensive chatterbox. He speaks frequently because he is an incessant talker. Now, we don't have much time to rectify our mistakes. We no longer have much time to amend our errors. He is a pastor respected by the congregation. He is a pastor held in high regard by the congregation. The dream I had kept for a long time became a reality. The dream I had nurtured for so long came true. An unbelievable miracle occurred when the river split. A miraculous event took place when the river divided. After retiring, he spent his later years in lonesome solitude. After retiring, he spent his remaining years in isolated solitude. She wasted time doing meaningless work. She squandered time on futile tasks. There are 50 people in our company's payroll. Our company's payroll includes 50 employees. I assured that I was telling the truth. I gave my assurance that I was telling the truth. The police assembled evidence to prove the crime. The police gathered evidence to substantiate the crime. The singer dedicated his entire life to singing. The singer devoted his entire life to the art of singing. I didn't notice the time passing because I was tackling a difficult assignment. I lost track of time because I was absorbed in tackling a challenging task. He enjoyed the privilege of not going through the security checkpoint. He relished the privilege of bypassing the security checkpoint. They descended to the first floor by elevator. They took the elevator down to the first floor. I was disappointed because he didn't keep his promise. I was disheartened because he failed to keep his word. Avian influenza has mutated and cannot be transmitted to humans. Avian influenza has undergone mutations and is no longer transmissible to humans. His piano recital was held at the Arts Center. His piano performance was hosted at the Arts Center. My father works in the shipbuilding industry, making boats. My father works in shipbuilding, crafting boats. We are currently living in a multicultural society. We are presently residing in a multicultural society. We traveled by dog sled through a severe blizzard. We journeyed by dog sled through a fierce snowstorm. Negotiations were held to improve the trade imbalance. Negotiations were conducted to address the trade imbalance. In the dark, the luminous hand of the clock glowed. In the darkness, the glowing hand of the clock shone brightly. My grandfather pulled out a few strands of white hair. My grandfather plucked a few strands of white hair. I fell and my ankle became swollen and bruised. I fell and my ankle became swollen and bruised. Modern people mostly face affective issues. Modern individuals predominantly face emotional challenges. The veterinarian examined the puppy's leg. The veterinarian assessed the puppy's leg. Hyundai prepared for the worldwide distribution of new cars. Hyundai prepared for the global distribution of its new cars. The clergy were careful in everything for the sake of piety. The clergy exercised caution in all matters for the sake of piety. Since when did Korean wrestling originate? Since when has Korean wrestling originated? He learned calligraphy from the teacher at the Seodang traditional school. He learned calligraphy from the teacher at the traditional school, Seodang. Currently, there is active exchange between the Orient and the West. At present, there is vibrant exchange between the East and the West. The meeting between the two leaders is a way to avert war. The meeting between the two leaders serves as a means to avert conflict. After a thorough investigation, the prosecution prosecuted the criminal. Following an in-depth investigation, the prosecution charged the criminal. Birds gathered to eat the crumbs that fell on the ground. Birds flocked together to consume the crumbs that had fallen to the ground. His tombstone had his name and life inscribed on it. His gravestone bore his name and the story of his life inscribed on it. The principal hoped to be remembered as a venerable educator. The principal wished to be remembered as a respected educator. The local doctor gave me a referral for a checkup at the general hospital. The local doctor provided me with a referral for a checkup at the general hospital. Both the ruling and opposition parties held a convention on Sunday. Both the ruling and opposition parties convened a meeting on Sunday. There were many scarecrows set up in the cornfield. Numerous scarecrows were erected in the cornfield. The drone hovered above the building while taking photos. The drone flew above the building while capturing images. A safety inspection for fire prevention was carried out. A safety inspection for fire prevention was conducted. Buddhists believe in reincarnation after death. Buddhists believe in the cycle of reincarnation after death. He moved from the headquarters to a workplace at a branch office. He transferred from the headquarters to a branch office. I reserved an 8-person seat for the birthday party. I booked an 8-person table for the birthday party. The chairs in the wine bar are static and cannot be moved. The chairs in the wine bar are fixed and cannot be moved. She was the sole survivor of the car accident. She was the only survivor of the car crash. The coffee shop sells a wide variety of drinks. The coffee shop offers a broad selection of beverages. His body became rigid with fear the moment he saw the ghost. His body stiffened with fear the moment he saw the ghost. I worked as an accountant at a trading company. I worked as an accountant at a trading firm. The worker received compensation for the accident during work. The worker received compensation for the injury sustained during work. He only received rudimentary education after dropping out of middle school. He only received basic education after dropping out of middle school. The experiment was conducted in an optimum environment during science class. The experiment was carried out in the ideal environment during science class. Iron Man's suit was invulnerable even to cannon fire. Iron Man's suit was impervious even to cannon blasts. I wish our country also had abundant natural resources. I wish our country also possessed abundant natural resources. A person's mind is easily swayed by flattery. A person's mind is easily influenced by flattery. The special product of Naju province is delicious pears. The specialty of Naju province is its delicious pears. Our opinions diverged on the solution. Our opinions differed on the solution. The scammer approached her with the intent to deceive her. The fraudster approached her with the intention of deceiving her. Severe stress predisposes one to adult diseases. Chronic stress predisposes individuals to adult diseases. Edison's whimsical invention made life more convenient. Edison's inventive creation made life much more convenient. The tailor lengthened the short pants. The tailor altered the short pants to make them longer. During the rainy season, it gets hot and humid, making me irritable. During the rainy season, it becomes hot and humid, which makes me easily irritated. Oblique sunlight came through the window. Slanted sunlight streamed through the window. He contrived a way to survive on the drifting ship for a day. He devised a way to survive on the drifting ship for one day. Our counterpart in the negotiation figured out our strategy. Our counterpart in the negotiations uncovered our strategy. While the doctor was operating, blood came from the veins rupture. While the doctor was performing surgery, blood flowed from the veins rupture. His melancholy became so severe that he attempted suicide. His depression became so intense that he attempted suicide. Gasoline is a dissolvent substance that removes paint. Gasoline is a solvent that dissolves paint. The people began protesting against the autocracy. The people began to protest against the autocratic rule. The plains of the southern region are famous for rice cultivation. The plains of the southern region are renowned for rice farming. The government investigated to standardize the Korean language. The government conducted an investigation to standardize the Korean language. Eating fatty foods is bad for the heart of an overweight person. Consuming fatty foods is detrimental to the heart of an overweight individual. It's more convenient to park in a diagonal line rather than in a straight line. It is more practical to park in a diagonal line than in a straight line. He is precocious for his age of 7. He is exceptionally advanced for his age of 7. The more I worked, the more the acceleration increased. The more I worked, the greater the acceleration became. It's fine to use colloquial language among friends. It's acceptable to use informal language among friends. The deforestation caused a large area of land to be deforested. The deforestation led to a vast area of land being cleared. He explained the detailed contents of the contract. He provided a detailed explanation of the contract's contents. The company provides regular ethics training for its employees. The company offers regular ethics training to its employees. Stealing someone else's belongings is morally wrong. Stealing another person's property is ethically wrong. The anesthetic was able to lessen the patient's pain. The anesthetic was effective in alleviating the patient's pain. He was bitten by a snake with venom and was taken to the hospital. He was bitten by a venomous snake and rushed to the hospital. Marriage comes with incidental responsibilities and duties. Marriage brings along incidental responsibilities and duties. The politician's speech caused a sensation among the public. The politician's speech stirred a sensation among the public. Hereby, I certify that the above information is true. By this, I affirm that the above information is accurate. The two countries signed an armistice to end the long war. The two countries signed a ceasefire to bring the long war to an end. She rejoiced upon hearing her college entrance exam results. She celebrated upon hearing her college entrance exam results. The author signed a publication agreement with the publisher. The author signed a publishing agreement with the publisher. I distilled seawater to make fresh water and drank it. I distilled seawater to create fresh water and drank it. He used all means to succeed. He employed every possible means to succeed. I told him beforehand that I was going to quit the company. I informed him in advance that I was going to resign from the company. A faithful servant does not serve two masters. A loyal servant cannot serve two masters. Korea and China played a soccer game for amity. Korea and China played a friendly soccer match for amity. He was an active and enterprising businessman. He was a dynamic and entrepreneurial businessman. This drink contains a little alcohol. This beverage contains a small amount of alcohol. My house is farther from school than my friend's house. My residence is situated farther from the school than my friend's dwelling. She became red-faced with embarrassment. She flushed with embarrassment. Residents of Korea aged 19 and older have the right to vote. Citizens of Korea, 19 years old and above, are entitled to vote. At the buffet, I heaped food onto my plate. At the buffet, I piled abundant food onto my plate. In the past, there was a societal structure between the aristocrats and commoners. Historically, a rigid social hierarchy existed between the aristocracy and the common folk. The human body is a very complex and intricate organism. The human body is an exceedingly complex and sophisticated organism. The U.S. Embassy negotiated for diplomatic resolution. The U.S. Embassy engaged in talks to achieve a diplomatic resolution. The pastor majored in theology at a Christian university. The pastor specialized in theology at a Christian institution. I came to Bosingac to watch the stroke of the bell at midnight. I visited Bosingac to witness the striking of the bell at the stroke of midnight. They spoke in a very muted voice at the library. They conversed in a hushed tone at the library. The chairman experienced indignity by being denied entry to the company. The chairman endured disgrace by being denied entry to the company. He has been in a torpid state since breaking up with his girlfriend. He has been in a state of lethargy since the breakup with his girlfriend. The workers negotiated for equitable wages. The workers bargained for fair compensation. The two people got to know each other better as they conversed. The two individuals became more acquainted through their conversation. The thug is harassing the neighborhood children. The thug is bullying the local children. The firefighter put out the fire with the extinguisher. The firefighter extinguished the flames with the fire extinguisher. As the time came to part, everyone's eyes were moist. As the moment to part drew near, tears filled everyone's eyes. You become eligible to vote starting at age 19. You become qualified to vote once you reach the age of 19. The temple is a sacred place for monks. The temple is a consecrated place for monks. I wasted my precious time on a trifling problem. I squandered my valuable time on a trivial issue. The elderly man developed inflammation in his knee joint as he got older. The elderly man suffered from inflammation in his knee joint as he aged. My skin looked pale because of a lack of pigment. My skin appeared pallid due to a deficiency in pigment. Driving in traffic can be a very frustrating experience. Navigating through traffic can be an exceedingly frustrating ordeal. She sat in the chair and swiveled it around twice. She seated herself in the chair and rotated it around twice. There is a need for the conversion of the Hangul file into an Excel file. There is a necessity to convert the Hangul file into an Excel document. The sweater was made from nylon, a synthetic fiber. The sweater was crafted from nylon, a man-made fiber. I confided my secret to my close friend. I shared my secret with my trusted friend. The fox scampered into the cave to avoid the lion. The fox dashed into the cave to escape the lion. He held a malice toward the boss who fired him. He harbored malice toward the boss who dismissed him. I was getting annoyed with his incessant complaints. I was becoming irritated by his relentless complaints. She made an utterance about her opinion on the college entrance exam. She expressed her opinion on the college entrance exam. His achievements inspired others. His accomplishments motivated others. A large rock tumbled down the hill. A large boulder rolled down the hill. Cows and sheep were grazing peacefully in the pasture. Cows and sheep were peacefully grazing in the meadow. Her leukemia progressively worsened. Her leukemia steadily worsened. The military was dispatched to the Middle East for an operation. The military was deployed to the Middle East for an operation. Slavery in the United States was abolished hundreds of years ago. Slavery in the United States was abolished centuries ago. The Olympics is a festival that encompasses sports and the economy. The Olympics is a celebration that integrates sports and the economy. We need to break the stereotype of male roles. We must dismantle the stereotype of male roles. The typhoon hit, but the apple trees in the orchard remained intact. The typhoon struck, but the apple trees in the orchard stood unharmed. The princess was cursed by the witch and fell into a deep sleep. The princess was enchanted by the witch and succumbed to an enchanted slumber. After grilling the fish, the smell became pervasive throughout the house. After grilling the fish, the odor permeated throughout the entire house. Galileo theorized that the earth is round. Galileo posited that the earth was spherical. The stock experts' anticipation of the stock price was wrong. The stock expert's forecast of the stock price was inaccurate. He was notorious for not keeping track of time. He was infamous for his inability to manage time. He was an inferior son compared to his father. He was a lesser son in comparison to his father. Her hypoglycemia necessitated urgently needing candy. Her hypoglycemia required immediate consumption of candy. All the paintings in the museum were incinerated in the fire. All the artworks in the museum were destroyed in the blaze. He hobbled on crutches and climbed onto the podium. He limped on crutches and ascended the podium. The boss's dinner order alluded to overtime work. The boss's dinner request hinted at overtime work. The bees were clustered around the acacia flowers. The bees gathered around the acacia blossoms. The trees on the mountain were charred by this forest fire. The trees on the mountain were scorched by the forest fire. The farmer plowed the field with a cultivator to grow rice. The farmer tilled the field with a cultivator to cultivate rice. He summarized what the teacher had explained. He encapsulated what the teacher had elucidated. The heavy rain caused a lot of farmland to be flooded. The torrential rain caused extensive flooding of farmland. I checked the top and bottom of the USB before insertion into the port. I examined both ends of the USB before inserting it into the port. We had fun doing a jigsaw puzzle with a world map. We enjoyed assembling a jigsaw puzzle of the world map. He seems to have overvalued his own abilities. He appears to have overestimated his own capabilities. The government built a dam as a precaution against the drought. The government constructed a dam as a safeguard against the drought. The farmer sprayed herbicide to get rid of the weeds. The farmer applied herbicide to eliminate the weeds. Superman is nearly invincible, the hero of Earth. Superman is almost indestructible, the champion of Earth. He completely disregarded the advice I gave him. He entirely ignored the counsel I provided him. Respiratory diseases occur frequently during the changing seasons. Respiratory ailments are common during seasonal transitions. In the West, Friday the 13th is considered an ominous day. In Western culture, Friday the 13th is regarded as an ill-fated day. The skeletal remains of humans were discovered from 1 million years ago. The skeletal remains of humans were uncovered from 1 million years past. He was investigated by the IRS for tax evasion. He was examined by the IRS for tax avoidance. My daughter wanted to live independently. My daughter desired to live autonomously. She was a sensibly dressed office worker. She was a pragmatically dressed office worker. He, who enjoys being alone, was diagnosed with autism. He, who relishes solitude, was diagnosed with autism. He was arrested by the police for stock manipulation. He was apprehended by the police for stock market manipulation. The senior instructed the junior about the school rules. The senior educated the junior on the school regulations. This company is predominated by female employees. This company is largely dominated by female employees. The teacher sent the sick student to the infirmary. The teacher directed the sick student to the infirmary. I can't see, but I played the piano incredibly well. Though I am blind, I played the piano remarkably well. Our family plans to partake in the marathon event. Our family intends to participate in the marathon event. He always heeded my advice, listened, and put it into practice. He consistently heeded my counsel, listened, and applied it. The emperor had complete supremacy over his subjects. The emperor held absolute dominance over his subjects. When I was 10 years old, I was really young and naive. When I was 10 years old, I was quite young and ingenuous. He has tact and courage in overcoming crises. He possesses tact and bravery in navigating crises. She ascribed her success to her parents. She attributed her success to her parents. Living abroad was mentally exhausting. Residing overseas proved to be mentally taxing. The large passenger ship loomed over the horizon. The immense passenger vessel emerged on the horizon. The chef submerged the beef in cold water. The chef immersed the beef in chilled water. I persuaded my father to buy a smartphone. I convinced my father to procure a smartphone. His goal is good, but honestly, it was unrealistic. His goal was noble, yet, in all honesty, it was unfeasible. Sally liked to weave clothes with yarn by hand. Sally relished the art of hand-weaving garments with yarn. The two teams improved their skills by competing with each other. The two teams honed their abilities through mutual competition. The coach reassured the players before the match. The coach comforted the players prior to the match. You can now make a refund requisition online. You may now submit a request for a refund online. The local authorities paid tribute to the king. The local officials honored the king. LG is said to unveil a new laptop tomorrow. It is reported that LG will launch a new laptop tomorrow. This machine is utilitarian, but its design is poor. This machine is practical, yet its design is subpar. There was controversy over her inclusion in the national team. There was significant debate over her inclusion in the national team. Social leaders are expected to live a moral life. Social leaders are anticipated to lead a virtuous life. Coffee shops are now ubiquitous, which makes things convenient. Coffee shops are now omnipresent, making life more convenient. The maximum capacity of this elevator is 1,000 kilograms. The maximum weight capacity of this elevator is 1,000 kilograms. Sewage treatment water is recycled after use. Wastewater from sewage treatment is recycled after usage. She reproved her son for not listening to her. She chastised her son for disregarding her. The company went completely bankrupt due to business failure. The company collapsed entirely due to business insolvency. The play starts with the protagonist's long monologue. The play commences with the protagonist's lengthy soliloquy. The couple divorced after 10 years of marriage. The couple separated after a decade of marriage. I was inclined to buy a bicycle rather than a scooter. I was more predisposed to purchase a bicycle than a scooter. She applied gel to remove the dead skin from her facial. She used gel to exfoliate the dead skin on her face. The outset of the argument between the two was trivial. The beginning of the disagreement between them was inconsequential. My friends went on the trip, but I was excluded. My friends embarked on the trip, but I was left out. Wearing glasses doesn't make your eyes deteriorate. Wearing glasses does not cause your eyesight to worsen. The newly discovered evidence vindicated her. The newly uncovered evidence exonerated her. She kept yawning while watching TV late at night. She kept stifling yawns while watching TV late into the night. He showed constant interference in his friend's affairs. He exhibited continuous meddling in his friend's matters. I warned not to show disrespect to the elderly. I cautioned against showing disrespect to the elderly. The members of a team are in an interdependent relationship. The members of a team are in a mutually reliant relationship. We left the movie midway because it was boring. We exited the movie halfway through because it was dull. The train heading to Busan derailed in Daejeon. The train en route to Busan derailed in Daejeon. She was the most avid volleyball player on the team. She was the most enthusiastic volleyball player on the team. The river was so shallow that I could walk across it. The river was so shallow that I could wade across it. CCTV was installed for crime prevention. CCTV cameras were installed for the purpose of crime deterrence. She heated the food in the microwave. She warmed the food in the microwave. It is important for everyone to practice conservation of nature. It is essential for everyone to engage in environmental conservation. Train transportation is cheap and fast. Train travel is economical and swift. The firefighting helicopters were dispatched to douse the wildfire. The firefighting helicopters were deployed to extinguish the wildfire. The scientist fertilized the egg with sperm in the ovum. The scientist inseminated the egg with sperm in the ovum. He studied meteorology and then made weather forecasts. He studied meteorology and then predicted the weather. Our dog's tail wags when he sees his owner. Our dog's tail sways when he spots his owner. A tremendous tsunami caused by the earthquake befell the village. A colossal tsunami triggered by the earthquake struck the village. Americans commonly abbreviate New York as NY. Americans typically abbreviate New York as NY. Before going to bed at night, I firmly close the windows and doors. Before retiring for the night, I securely shut the windows and doors. Fieldwork is a part of the learning process. Fieldwork constitutes an integral part of the learning process. A butterfly flying in the air became entangled in a spider's web. A butterfly soaring through the air got caught in a spider's web. The sun radiates heat and light to Earth. The sun emits heat and light towards Earth. I'm so dynamic that I can't stay still in one place. I am so energetic that I cannot remain in one place. The company offered inducement to its employees. The company provided incentives to its employees. There are infinite stars in the night sky. The night sky is filled with countless stars. The judge discerned falsehoods in the criminal's testimony. The judge detected falsehoods in the criminal's testimony. The number of casualties from the earthquake increased over time. The toll from the earthquake steadily rose over time. My friends chattered too much, so I couldn't concentrate on studying. My friends babbled incessantly, making it difficult for me to focus on my studies. The lawyer used terminology that was hard to understand. The lawyer employed jargon that was difficult to comprehend. The doctor stitched the wound with carefulness. The doctor sewed the wound with meticulous care. The mortician placed the body in the coffin and closed the lid. The mortician laid the body in the coffin and sealed the lid. I received the confirmation email for my membership registration. I received the confirmation email for my subscription registration. The CIA tortured the captured spy for information. The CIA interrogated the captured spy for intelligence. Seoul is the metropolitan area of South Korea. Seoul is the central urban hub of South Korea. The doctor transplanted another person's liver to Mary. The doctor performed a liver transplant from another person to Mary. My dog has a very gentle temperament. My dog has a very calm and mild temperament. This material contains erroneous information. This document includes inaccurate information. He drank so much alcohol that he eventually vomited. He consumed excessive alcohol and eventually became ill. Jane was the greatest blessing to our family. Jane was the most precious gift to our family. The electronics company sold various kitchen appliances. The electronics firm offered a variety of kitchen appliances. The police found a discrepancy in the accomplice's statement. The police uncovered a contradiction in the accomplice's statement. The boy was shivering from the cold in the middle of winter. The boy was trembling from the chill in the middle of winter. Asking someone's age upon first meeting is an impolite question. Inquiring about someone's age upon first meeting is considered rude. When a friend works hard, give them a heartfelt compliment. When a friend works diligently, offer them a sincere compliment. This library was built with the support of the municipal government. This library was established with the backing of the local government. Her sculpture was recognized by everyone as a masterpiece. Her sculpture was acknowledged by all as a work of genius. Upon my decease, my daughter and son will inherit the estate. Upon my passing, my daughter and son will succeed to the estate. I did my best to engender the trust of the customers. I did everything I could to foster the trust of the clients. For energy conservation, the house was insulated with thermal materials. For energy efficiency, the house was insulated with heat-retaining materials. In his paintings, red is the predominant color. In his artworks, red is the dominant color. Counseling is important to prevent delinquency in teenagers. Counseling plays a crucial role in preventing delinquency among adolescents. The rescuer saved survivors from the rubble. The rescuer extricated the survivors from the debris. What he said was merely an assumption. What he said was nothing more than a presumption. Even if you're really close, there can be disagreements in opinions. Even if you are very close, differences in opinions may arise. He flunked math and has to take it again next year. He failed mathematics and must retake it next year. According to prophecy, he was destined to become a king. According to the prophecy, he was fated to become a king. The class presentation is held annually in the auditorium. The class presentation takes place annually in the auditorium. His science fiction movie influenced subsequent films. His science fiction film impacted later films. Roman numerals are primarily used on clock faces. Roman numerals are predominantly used on clock dials. A plethora of reporters surrounded the famous actress. A multitude of reporters encircled the renowned actress. The chairman's house fence was electrified for security. The chairman's house fence was electrified for security purposes. The villain kept harassing the street vendors. The villain continued to torment the street vendors. The rainbow in the sky is a natural phenomenon. The rainbow in the sky is a natural occurrence. When you subtract 3 from 10, the remainder is 7. When you subtract 3 from 10, the result is 7. Germany annexed Austria by force. Germany forcibly annexed Austria. The juniors requested help with tomorrow's exhibition. The juniors sought assistance with tomorrow's exhibition. A cavity refers to a hole in a tooth. A cavity refers to a hole in a tooth caused by decay. A military is necessary to defend one's realm. A military is essential to protect one's domain. The pill dissolved well even in cold water. The pill dissolved efficiently even in cold water. Mixing money and happiness equates to unhappiness. Mixing money with happiness leads to dissatisfaction. The police's submission of evidence had no legal grounds. The police's submission of evidence lacked legal basis. The psychological depiction of the protagonist in this novel is outstanding. The psychological portrayal of the protagonist in this novel is exceptional. She scorned her relatives because they were poor. She despised her relatives because of their poverty. Jenny was penitent for her wrongdoings. Jenny was remorseful for her misdeeds. She sternly rejected my proposal as soon as she heard it. She flatly rejected my proposal as soon as she heard it. The typhoon caused devastation to the city. The typhoon wreaked havoc on the city. I eat a lot of vegetables due to constipation. I consume a lot of vegetables because of constipation. The school applied rigorous rules to the students. The school imposed stringent rules on the students. He had a deformed spine due to a congenital disease. He had a malformed spine due to a congenital disorder. You should not degrade someone else's efforts. You should not belittle someone else's efforts. He was stressed by his boss's undue work instructions. He was stressed by his boss's excessive work demands. Since ancient times, humans have been called egoistic beings. Since ancient times, humans have been referred to as egoistic beings. The pathway was long between the trees. The path was long between the trees. We rolled down the car window to ventilate. We lowered the car window to allow ventilation. The government investigated the feasibility of constructing a new city. The government assessed the feasibility of building a new city. Sweat glands help regulate body temperature by producing sweat. Sweat glands aid in regulating body temperature through sweat production. The beacon brightly illuminated the dark night sky. The beacon shone brightly, illuminating the dark night sky. I really dislike her accusatory tone. I truly detest her accusatory tone. Lincoln emancipated the black slaves through the war. Lincoln liberated the black slaves through the war. He was possessed by a ghost and wandered through the village. He was taken over by a spirit and roamed through the village. I took my pants to the dry cleaner to remove the specks. I took my trousers to the dry cleaner to remove the stains. The painkiller prescribed by the doctor alleviated the pain. The doctor prescribed painkiller relieved the pain. You need to specify the size when ordering shoes. You must indicate the size when placing a shoe order.